Bonjour, je m'appelle Monsieur C. God, no, that's terrible. I am at Trafalgar Square at the base of Nelson's Column, which you might be able to just see at the top there. But I'm most interested in the lion that you see behind me here. These lions were designed by a man called Sir Edwin Landseer. And the weird thing about it is it's not totally accurate because he was designing his lions based on a lion that was donated to him by the London Zoo. It had died naturally and he had it stuffed, but it was slowly turning a bit weird as he took longer and longer to design it. What he did is the face and the mane all perfectly well, but by the time he got to his feet, the lion was in such a terrible state that essentially it had rotted away. So what did he do? Well, you can see somebody's climbing on the now. There's not very many talons or anything, claws like that. So he had to design it based on his cat, his own domestic cat. So these lions, as majestic as they are, they actually have the feet of cats. Now, at this point, it's also worth talking about the date, 9th of November, specifically in German history, because it's known in German history as the Day of Fate, because very many significant events happened on the 9th of November, including the Beer Hall Putsch, but in 1918, the Declaration of the Republic, after the defenestration of the Kaiser, was on 1918, the 9th of November. The 9th of November 1989 was when the Berlin Wall fell, and Germany was unified. It started the process of reunification to become one country from east and west. But in 1938, the 9th of November 1938, in the building just behind me, the old town hall of Munich, Joseph Goebbels made a hate-filled speech which started Kristallnacht, the night of the broken glass, which saw the first attacks on synagogues and shops associated with Judaism, arguably the start of the Holocaust. So 9th of November, the day of our Beer Hall Putsch, it's a very significant event in German history. As Emily developed her time in the suffragettes, she grew a reputation of militancy, and one of her most famous acts was the blowing up or the setting on fire of post boxes. Now, unfortunately, the one that she blew up or she burnt to the ground is no longer around, but this one in Hampstead High Street from 1870 was actually burnt and destroyed by one of her colleagues in the suffragette. You can see the lovely spidery Victorian VR there to symbol Queen Victoria. What they used to do is put some phosphorus in a letter, put them in, it would obviously burn all the letters, it ignites, and then they would claim responsibility of it. And this is how Emily Davidson grew her name as one of the most militant members of the suffragettes. Wow. Christ, that hurt. It involved the barons and it involved King John. The barons had just taken London over there, and they said essentially they're forcing the king's hand, forcing the king to say, "Oh, I've been joined by a dog," forcing the king to say, "Fine, we'll meet here on Runnymede and we shall sign the Magna Carta." And so they were met here to discuss that and see what's going on. Oh no! That's going to be bad. I am standing here on the Carting Lane, just off the Strand, and behind me is a Victorian lamppost. Not that special or amazing, because there are many Victorian lampposts in London, but this one is unique, really, in the city of Westminster, because it's the last remaining lamppost to run on biogas. What is that? The sewers beneath the road here on Carting Lane are full of poo, and that they emit a gas, and the gas is what powers those lamps. That was very common in Victorian times. Obviously now we use the electricity. Perhaps it's using the gas or the poo from the Savoy Hotel behind me, the very posh poo that is involved in that. And as I say, this is called Carting Lane, and it's affectionately now known as Farting Lane. This was built in 1870, this lamppost, and it's the only one in the city of Westminster that remains. It's not quite big enough for me, I don't think. You should definitely come here to Tilbury to see the gangplanks that still exist. They are still very much of the old timber frame that would have almost certainly been here in 1948. But what they've done is they've really tastefully and fantastically put in the stories of various people who were on the HMT, Windrush, and some of the stories they have to tell. So you do come and have a look at this exhibit. It's really, really good. I am on a mission for the communist revolution against the capitalist dogs of the West. I'm extremely excited because I'm in a little hamlet called Barnes Cross in the middle of Dorset, and this is the oldest post box in all of Britain, 1858. Victoria, of course, very different, very small, very short. This is probably the original height they would have originally been, octagonal in its design here. And they have the vertical post box, indeed with a little flap, as you can see, that you would have to push in there. But isn't that wonderful how that's been preserved, and it still is in use? And that person, of course, is Oliver Cromwell, who is just behind me here, just outside Westminster Hall, right here by the Houses of Parliament, just in Parliament Square. And his statue is there. He is representing Parliament, or as he would say, a more democracy, anti-royalist, puritanical point of view. Now, the parliamentarians were also known as the Roundheads for the helmets that they wore, and their firm belief was that we shouldn't be worshipping the king. The king should not be the most powerful person in the land. It should be Parliament representing the people. And Oliver Cromwell became the voice of that movement, and he led the parliamentary forces in the Civil War. Now, anti-aircraft guns might have been one defence against the Luftwaffe, against the Nazi bombers. Another one was the Blackout. This involved all the street lights being turned off, everyone's car lights and bicycle lights being turned out, big thick curtains in your house and only really having one light on, to blanket London in a shield of darkness so that the Nazi bombers didn't know what to bomb. The difficulty, though, was on some of the public buildings of London was this wonderful Portland stone, a bright white stone that was white and, most importantly to the Nazis, reflective, so they could possibly put the light down or somehow see it in a moonlight, clear night. They could see the white stone of public buildings that they would want to bomb. So what they did was, or what the people of London did, is they painted these public buildings, this brilliant white stone, in black. Now, you would think that over the years many of these buildings will have lost that black paint, but here at Stoke Newington Town Hall we can still see the remnants of the blackout paint. I don't know if you can just see in the circle just up there's a little bit of things. Indeed, the balustrades are gone on there. If you also have a little look behind these pillars, the pillars at the front are still nice and white, but actually if we go around the side you can still see literally that is paint. That is the strokes, you can see them going on there, of pro-blackout paint. Even along the walls still at the top, it's protected from weathering that goes on. There's more even goes down there. So these public buildings had to be painted completely in black. And it's great that you can just, here at Stoke Newington, you can still see the remnants of the blackout paint. Remember the 5th of November, gunpowder, treason and plot. I see no reason why gunpowder treason should ever be forgot.